What is going on, everybody? We are back with our normal episode of Mutant The Mouth. I am your host, Cisternino, with my co-host and partner in crime, Nick Walker, who is now, 4.5 weeks out from the Arnold Classic?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Do you just move the fucking camera closer to look bigger? Or
no, man, I'm just that huge.
wait, what's this what's this gear we're wearing?
Gym. Oh, my new sponsor, Gym Reapers.
Did you announce it?
No, not yet, but right now I did.
Yeah.
Special occasion for the podcast.
Okay, Jim. So tell me now. I know we talked. I think you mentioned them to me a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
They're not a brand that I'm super familiar with. I know. Is that Ian? Is Ian with them as well?
Ian is with them. Yeah.
So
it's funny too, because like I didn't think they were like well known, and ever since like I've been in the talks with them, I low key now see them everywhere.
Oh, really?
Like somebody either has a shirt on, somebody is wearing like one of their knee straps, and I'm just like, I guess they are pretty popular.
Huh? Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I've seen the logo before, not super often. But it's funny you mentioned that, because when we talked about it, I did then start to see like subtle things on Instagram that I didn't notice before. So that's now they're based out of where? Do you know where they're based out of? Like where they're at? You probably haven't even visited them yet.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so that's probably why.
We were in talks. They might come down here because they're supposed to be in Cali. So he said either this week or next week he wants to like do a little filming with me and some of the clothing for the workout. So,
well, I mean, yeah, you're probably one of their top athletes. How did that all come to be?
They reached out to me, wanted to send me some stuff and have conversation. So I said, yeah, I want to make sure I like it first, and I had to make sure they had my size. So that was big thing.
That's gotta be a big thing with you. So I'm thinking, just so everybody knows, I'm a lone soldier type. So I'm doing the
he's right.
I'm doing all the timestamps myself. So there's nobody. I usually have a little crowd here with my tech guys. They're not here tonight. So it's just me, myself, and Guy. So there's nothing else I can do. But it's good. I'm trying to learn everything as we go.
You'll just get better at it.
100%. So that's all you can really do. So, what I would say is, what I want to I asked you how you went about getting in contact with them, and they reached out to you. How many times? I don't know. Maybe you haven't gotten it yet, but how many times have people reached out to you? I mean, at least it's happened to me with Quadro clothing. And people have said, like, I want to be an athlete, or they'll ask you the question, like, how do I get sponsored, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever? Because I know my answer. Have you ever been that guy that have reached out to a company and have been like, I want to be sponsored by your company? And I know the answer that I give when people ask me that. Is there like a specific answer that you give to people when they ask that, or like, what do you say when somebody goes, I want to be sponsored, or what can I do to be sponsored? Like, what is your take on that? Because believe it or not, the reason why I'm asking is because this week, for some reason, I've gotten that question a lot.
Really?
And yeah, about like, hey, I like, well, what do I have to do to be sponsored? And my reaction to it is always the same of what I say. So I'm wondering what you say to people when they say that to you, if it's kind of along the same lines as things that I say to people that when they ask me that.
I just say we're not doing sponsorships, man. Like, I'm just a clothing line that's giving out my brand. I don't sponsor people.
Yeah.
I think it's very generous and humbling that people want to be sponsored, but
yeah,
I'm not at that level to be sponsoring people neither. So
yeah. But what I'm saying is that when you were an amateur, you never reached out to a company, right?
Oh, I have, yeah.
But saying what?
I would ask, if they're interested in sponsoring me, and I would give them.
But that's now. Like, was that when you were amateur?
Yeah, I don't do that now. They reach out to me now.
So okay, because so when I was an amateur, so for me it must be different, right? And I'm glad it's different because you said that you've done that. I've never done that, and I think the reason is because I was never an amateur around the time of social media.
Oh,
Because
yeah. Social
so because
media changed the game.
I turned pro at 2008 at nationals, and I didn't start Instagram until 2012 or 13. I think it was 12 or 13.
That's when it first started.
Yeah. So I didn't have the opportunity to reach out to anybody to ask to say I'm a sponsored athlete. And, this was actually asked on my live feed this morning. And I said, the way to get recognized is to be fucking good.
Pretty much.
That's how that.
You have to have, unfortunately, you have to have a big following. You have to have, but I don't. It's not necessarily the following that's important. It's the engagement,
Yeah.
right? Like I know people that have 10K followers, but their engagements through the roof, and then I've seen people that have like 200K followers with zero engagement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. So what if you so this is what I tell people is that when you're just starting out and you're an amateur, okay, and you don't really have you never want to show yet, you're not a pro, you're almost like, and I've used the analogies, you're almost like a one-arm waitress, right? Because you don't really bring
yeah,
much to the fucking table.
nothing at all.
So no. So it's like, and one thing that I tell people that say that to me, I go, if you owned a company, why would you sponsor yourself? And if you can't
That's
answer
good.
that, then you shouldn't be reaching out to a company to ask them the same question because you're going to look like an asshole because everybody says the same thing, right? Everybody's like, well, I'm super driven. I'm super motivated. I want to be one of the best in the world. I think we all that are in bodybuilding that are competing all say the same thing, right? We want to be the
Yep.
best. But those are just words. And I think somebody like you who put your words into action is the reason why you don't have to do those things anymore.
Yeah, I would say so. I just, but yeah, it's true, right? So like, if you're an amateur coming up, who is a lot of times it's people that have never even competed yet.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's like what value do you bring? You know,
Do you now on the social media thing? Because I had a bunch of notes written down because of things that have been popping in
the
my head.
social media is king now.
Yes, but now social media king, you leading up to a show. Now you've spoken about the mentality of bodybuilding and the good and the bad. But as far as getting ready for a show, okay, because I got this is almost like a two-part question, I guess, because you know, I've been an underdog and I've been a favorite, as have you.
Mhm.
Is there one you prefer over the other? And if you do prefer one or the other, is doing that, does that benefit you or does it hurt you paying attention to the things said on social media? Because sometimes when you're the underdog, people are talking good about you and they're like, we want this guy to win. He's the underdog. He's the blah 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 blah. When you're the favorite, people are kind of like, he's a favorite. He's going to win. Like, what's whatever. So I feel like, but when you're the favorite, you also get most of the hate. When you're the underdog, sometimes you don't get as much hate. You just don't
No,
get as much praise, but you get more hate when you're at the top. Now,
yeah,
for you being kind of, at times having, the I would say that I would not even really call them a setback, just those times of like when you have like self-doubt, right? Or you just get down on yourself. Do you find yourself looking more at social media closer to your show, or do you find yourself checking out and just stepping away, not really paying attention to comments?
no. I think I find myself more on social media more than not. As I get Maria, me and Maria actually just had this conversation. She yells at me all the time to stay off social media and stop listening to what people have to say. Because
So
sometimes comments do get to me, and she sees it. Um, so I think what works better for me is the underdog. I think when you're the favorite, for me specifically, it's a good feeling, right? At the same
yeah,
time, because you're the favorite. Like
yeah,
that's awesome. But at the same time, like you said, it's like you're expected to win. Now
So
that will give me self-induced pressure now. So then now when I listen to the negativity, it bottles up in my mind now. And I think over time it adds up and things start to get worse versus when I was the underdog. Sure, there's negativity, but it was more like, oh, like you said, we want to see him win, we want to see him do this, yada yada yada, and that drives me more, you know.
were you somebody that now because you were very confident in yourself coming up?
Yeah,
So I was very confident in my ability to outwork everybody. I was never really confident in my genetic capacity to be one of the best bodybuilders in the world because unfortunately, I'm not like some of the delusional people out there. And I know that I am not one of the best bodybuilders. And I knew that I had genetic limitations that only allowed me so far. And I also knew that I would only allow myself to push my genetic potential using certain things to an extent. So I knew where I stood.
mm-hmm.
Now you had the confidence that you had, and you would say, like, I'm going to win, and you would win. Now, you having that confidence, did you know that being as successful as you've been was going to amount to the pressure that it caused? Or did you think being at the top was going to bring you more positive and less hate? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. I knew there would be pressure, but I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
So I think like last year, I didn't like prepare myself for it better because I didn't want to think about it too much, and then it really hit me hard. This year, I think I prepared myself a little more going into it. Especially going into the Olympia, people didn't even have me in the top 5 anymore. People thought I was gonna be like 8th or 9th. Like
And now
and comments like that, yeah, they bothered me, but I get more drive out of being counted out than counted in.
yeah.
So when I would hear that, I enjoy proving people wrong. I get a kick out of it, and I think when you don't really have that and you're just the favorite, I don't want to say you lose motivation, but you don't have like that push of somebody going against you.
And I think part of it too is when you're the underdog, if you don't do that well, then I don't really think people give as much
Yeah, it's
shit.
like, oh, he looked great, but it's okay.
Exactly. And then if you don't do good when you're the favorite, then it's like, ha, I called it. I knew he wasn't going to look great.
And again, this is where social media takes a toll on everyone because now if that happens, you're going to hear it from every platform possible. There's going to be videos for the next few weeks of you now of how shitty you looked, on how this happened, this didn't go right. And what people don't understand is, like for me, when you have the mindset and the mentality of a champion and something goes wrong and you don't win, that's a fucks with you.
Yeah.
So now you got to listen to all these people say their opinions, and you're just like, and then it bottles up even more. I don't think no one ever truly considers the mindset of that person that just took the loss, and they just say whatever the fuck they want. Like making videos is fine. I understand, do it, but can you wait like a fucking week or so? Like, can the dust settle a little bit?
Oh,
And I think when things just come out like this,
yeah,
you're just like fuck, and you're gonna watch it. You want to know.
yeah. I listen. I'm one of the people who the negativity never got to me. I never let social
Not even
media
a
get to
little
me.
bit.
Man, it really never fucking got to me. I never listen.
Really?
People would see me and be like, "Oh, like why are you replying?" And I'm like, I'm taking a shit and I'm replying to these people. Like if you think I'm actually like bothered by this, I'm not. But there's sometimes where I'm just like on my phone and I see a dumb comment and I'll just go back and forth because I got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
But for me, it's different. And listen, I think it's different for me, Nick, because I was never the best at anything that I did. I was always a smaller statured guy. I was, I was the guy that was kind of last picked. I was the guy that, was the smallest guy in the football field. I was not the most athletic kid, and I had to bust my ass to get like every little thing I got in my life, I had to work a little extra harder than the next guy.
Yeah.
And that was just because, like, my brother, right? My brother Anthony, I taught him how to skateboard, how to snowboard. I helped him, with obviously my dad coaching football, but he was somebody that no matter what he did, okay, if he picked it up, he would
He was
just,
good.
he was fucking good.
He was
I
good.
was I was not that type of dude. I had to fucking really work at
See,
it.
I was like your brother.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's different, because
Yeah.
when you're in the place where, like, you know, when I was playing football, I didn't always start. I had to work my way up to actually then start
Yeah,
and
it
be
was
good.
just
I didn't just so was my brother. So it took time. Not that it didn't take forever, but it took a period of time for me to get to a certain
you had to prove
level.
yourself.
I did, and that was with everything that I did. So for me, I'm like, you guys want to say, like, I proved myself for 40 years. You think that's going to stop at now? But so that's why that shit doesn't bother me. But I think
Okay.
it's obviously due to how you developed. And I was also a middle child. So as a middle
Yeah,
child, you don't get a lot of attention. You were the baby, right?
I was the baby, so I got
Yes,
most of the
you got all the
attention.
attention. You got the best genetics, the best fucking the best athleticism. So I mean, that's kind of like par for the course, because I think
Right.
when you're known to be great all the time, to then not be great is like, what the fuck. But when you're not great all the time and then you become great, you have a different view on things.
I can see that. I agree for sure.
Did you What did you play sports wise?
Soccer, baseball, and football.
Favorite was
Baseball.
baseball. Yeah.
I could play. So I could play any position I was good at except catcher. That was the only one I couldn't do.
Because of knees, or just because you didn't like it?
I just sucked at it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get the hang of it.
That was a position I played a lot of. I
I
played
was my main position was pitcher and first and third.
Didn't you want to? Wasn't that like your first thing? Like, didn't you want to do a lot with baseball? Like, that was your like.
Yeah, I mean, my mother would even tell you, she thought I was really going to go far in baseball. I don't know MLB big, but like she thought I was going to go the distance with it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got to high school, I was burnt out from it. I didn't really want to do it anymore. And that was kind of when I really, got into training really, really hard.
Did you start training in high school?
No, yes and no. Like I trained when I was younger, like 13, 14 years old in my basement. Yeah. But like as far as an actual gym that I went to, that didn't start till high school.
Okay. Now, did you stop playing baseball in high school?
I remember I sat my mom down and I said, I don't want to play baseball anymore. This is what I said to her. I swear to God. I said, I don't want to play baseball anymore. I want to go to the gym. And she looked at me like I had 5 heads, bro.
Really?
Like, what do you mean?
She's like, all this time, all this money.
At first, she told me no.
Really?
She was like, no, like you're playing. And I'm like, I don't have that desire. I don't have that drive anymore. Like the fire's gone. It's not lit.
Do you remember a specific thing that happened when you were just like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore?
Within the time toward the end of me, that was when I started to get really big, right? So the athleticism that I had, the speed that I had, the power, it was like gone, because I got big quick as a kid, and I think there was always one moment for me that really hit me, was when I threw my fastball and a parent in the audience screamed, "Nice changeup." I'm like, I didn't throw my changeup. I'm like, so now my fastball is slow. So I'm like, my time is done here. And that was pretty much where I just like lost my motivation.
And it never thought that somebody could have just been blatantly fucking with you.
I don't think he was, because it was kind of so it was like at that point, and I was just like, I enjoy training. Like, I don't want to stop.
Yeah.
So eventually my mom was like, okay. And then I remember when I graduated high school, I, did my first show, and she fucking hated it. Like
Yeah.
she
Did
was, she went from it's funny now, right? But she went from I will literally like you're never doing this again to now she's involved in every little aspect possible.
she is. She's like a super. She's like one of those pageant moms that you see that's like always there. She's like obsessed with it, but it's awesome to see. Like, but was she not about it because she didn't understand it? Because my parents at first were like, "What the fuck?"
Well, it was two things. She didn't understand it. And then like I was not prepared for like how prep was gonna be. So, the mood swings, the attitude, like it was fucking through it was grade A attitude, bro. So she was like, you are never doing this shit again.
Which prep was your worst? Like, what prep was the prep where you were like,
Oh, I will,
that?
I will always say my first.
Me too.
I
Me
always
too.
say my first. I mean, the next, like they were always still somewhat bad, but like
Yeah,
that first one was just another level, man.
ruthless.
Ruthless.
And I think we spoke about this. And my first show. It's because people say it all the time. People are like fucking roid rage. I'm like, listen, if you think it's roid rage, you're nuts.
First of all, my
It's
first show,
diet rage.
I did Natty, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
So like there, it was no. This was pure like I was not expecting this. I'm tired. I'm cranky. Like and the diet that I was doing, I did no carbs for 4 weeks. So like for a first timer doing this, you don't know how to handle. Like it was hard. On top of doing like 2 hours of cardio a day.
You make all the wrong decisions the first show and
Yeah,
make
you
it
like
10
it just
times
went
harder.
down. Bro, I started the prep at 200. I'll never forget it, 230 pounds. I went on stage at 159 pounds. Yeah, I lost the whole person, bro. Literally.
Oh my gosh, bro. That's fucking insanity.
I know, and I'm on stage, doing my routine, dancing. I got a six pack and people are like, "Who the fuck is that?"
It was like was that your first time having a six pack? Bodybuilding?
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
I was like the skinny, I was skinny. I was like the short, chubby kid that was like short and stocky, but I was chubby. And it was like I never had a six pack until my first body. I never had a six pack until my first bodybuilding show. Not one.
I was just a skinny kid.
Really.
I went through like a fat phase, and then like when I started to like play baseball consistently,
Yeah.
I just became like a really skinny kid. And then once I started training and eating, I blew up so fast, man.
So your body responded genetically just from eating food and training.
Oh, well, you see like they're big
Yeah.
people. I mean, even my brother, when he was really deep into it for a while, he was big.
Yeah.
And he was as natural as it comes. We just genetically, this is who we are.
And you said he was your favorite training partner that you ever trained with, right?
Yeah.
Because he would just fucking get in your face and you wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, like he just knew. I think I thrive when like emotion is there, right? So like
Yes.
my brother, obviously there's emotion. It's my brother. And then with Matt, obviously there's like a strong connection there. So he knew how to get under my skin. When I'm around people where like there's strong emotion,
Yeah.
they know how that brings the best out of me.
Yeah.
I think now that I've matured and I'm getting older, I think I thrive more off more emotion than anything.
Yeah, I'm the same way too. Like when I was younger, I listened to more like the music was totally different. I mean, for
Well, that's the
not
thing. I even know people make fun of me, but like Evanescence, I gave it to me, and I just fucking tear shit up in the gym. Versus
Yep.
something like listening to like Five Finger Death Punch, which
Yep.
I have my days where that I like that shit, but to really like get me going, I need some like that emotional shit going on.
The older I got, the more I became like that. When I was younger, it was all fucking the rap and the rock. And
Mm-hmm.
then the older I got, it's like now I find myself like the country song comes on and I'm not so fast to fucking click past it. So I'm like, I can relate.
You like the lyrics.
I can relate to it emotionally. So I just keep it on my headphones. Um, But as far as the training goes, because obviously we spoke a little bit about training the last time. You spoke about how, slow and controlled, and I know that always wasn't the case. But what I've seen as a late on social media is Rich Gaspari has been getting. There's been a lot of hate going his way because he's one of the guys that says like '90s golden era is the best. Nobody trains that intense anymore. If you're not training twice a day, you're not intense. And so my question is this. Now the golden era, I think people call it the golden era. I think because listen, there was a lot there was a good amount of very good bodybuilders back in
Of
the
course.
90s. But I think the transition from the 80s into the 90s made what was more drastic than any transition ever.
Mhm.
I think the physiques from the 80s into the 90s, the drastic transition was why people would then call it the golden era. Now, this is where I have the issue, right? Now, when you want to talk about people that trained hard, okay, there's a different intensity of a Branch Warren or a Guy Cisternino or somebody screaming in the gym and be getting in your face and throwing weights and slamming weights and then you have a Nick Walker who can lift absurd amount of weight, very slow and controlled, and maybe not even fucking make a grunt. But so my question is to you, when somebody is talking about people don't train hard or intense anymore, somebody might look at you and be like, "Well, Nick doesn't train intense because he look how he trains." But I look at you how you train, and I'm like, "That's like very intense.
Mhm.
That's like controlled intensity is what that
Yeah.
is. That's just not complete aggressive intensity." So, what like did you agree that in the '90s they trained harder and more intense? And
No.
do
If
you
anything, I think they trained less intense than we do now.
in regards to how?
Just listen, I would watch some of I ain't gonna mention names, I'm not gonna do that, but I would watch some of the YouTube videos of the guys in the 90s training because that's I like to enjoy it. And then I watch some of the guys in this day and age, and I just feel the intensity now is stronger. I do. People really push the limits with training harder now. And it's not even so much about the weight, it's how far can someone push their set?
Yeah.
And they'll take it to the ultimate limit. I didn't really see that too much back then. It was more like as soon as you start to felt it, rack, next set, whatever, a couple drops here and there. I will push that set to the ultimate limit and then do a fucking drop set.
Yeah.
Like so. I mean, listen, for the times have changed, and I'm not going to say they didn't train hard or intense, but from what I even see now, being in Vegas, when I go to Dragons or I go to Fit Club, or people train hard, man.
Yeah.
Like people train hard.
Do you think maybe the reason is because there was a lot less bodybuilders back then? So the concentration was on
Well, yeah.
just a few
Well,
bodybuilders?
nowadays you have your bodybuilders, right? And then you have the IG influencers, and then you have the wannabe IG influencers. So it's more saturated versus, back then you just knew bodybuilders.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So now you have, because of social media, you have everybody.
Do you
But
think those social media influencers get get categorized with pro bodybuilders sometimes? Because I've heard people call. Listen, I've been called an influencer and not a pro bodybuilder, and I've heard fucking influencers be called pro bodybuilders. So like I think sometimes we all get kind of categorized together and like uh like put into this one genre
yeah,
of things because we all do like just because we're all outside throwing a football doesn't mean we're all Tom Brady, right? So
exactly.
just because we're all fit like listen, and it's hard because I was in the gym tonight and there were two kids in my gym training and they're very young and they had a like camera, like a legit camera with the little fucking speaker on the top of the whole nine. And
Hell yeah.
the one kid even said to the other kid, He goes, something, whatever. He's like, you're not even 150 pounds. So I'm sitting there and these guys are filming each
Bro,
other. So I'm like, if you're saying that to each other and then turn around and filming each other, what is it or who is it that you're filming for? And it's hard for me to say that because then people go, well, you do it. And I'm like, well, I do it now because it's part of my job. And they're like, well, in order to get a following, you need to start somewhere, which is also true.
very true.
My argument to this is if you want to be great, put the camera down,
And go to work.
be great in the gym, and that will parlay to being great on the stage, and then you'll get recognized.
Exactly.
But for some reason, it's like I don't know if the whole I want to be an influencer and that's what I'm going to work towards as a job is like a thing. Is that a thing? Like,
It is, no, it really is a
because
thing.
we're young. Because you're younger than me.
You can't just start making YouTube videos and then expect to make money quickly. It's just not going to work. You have to be something in something where people know you, and then you can transfer that into, you know, your YouTube and then allow it to grow from there. But if you just start on YouTube, it's going to take so fucking long for you to build that and make money that you literally could have been working at something else and making more money at that point. Like for me, I didn't start on YouTube until like 2 or 3 years ago, and I wasn't making money 2 or 3 years ago from it. You know, I had to continue to build myself. I had to continue to film. And listen, I'm no IG influencer, but I enjoy filming. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, now that, you know, Maria helps me, we bought a camera, we got the whole setup going. And what makes it fun, I enjoy doing it with her as well, right? So it allows more entertainment. It allows the audience to see how you connect, even when I connect with her, or just show more personality. So it is fun for people to see like the inside lifestyle. But that's not how you start, man.
Yeah.
Like you got to build a name for yourself, and then you can go do that.
Do you think that people are looking for that viral video to get them to like catapult, which is why they start young rather than working towards the goal? Do you think people are just hanging their hat on like, if I can just get one video, just that one video?
I do, because sometimes it works. It does. Sometimes that works, but sometimes it doesn't. But to me, it's rare that happens. Like it's like, you know, I want to say it's like getting struck by lightning, but it's just not, it's not going to happen as fast as you think. Like
no. I mean, was there ever a video for you that you were like, fuck, like, I mean, obviously you've had viral videos. I've had viral videos. Was there ever that one video for you that like stands out that you were like, fuck, that got a lot of attention more than any?
Yeah, I actually think it was the one Joe Reiser actually filmed when I inclined dumbbell press the 225-pound dumbbell.
Oh, I remember that. That was crazy.
Yeah, that one.
That was insane.
Because that's when Matt was here and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
And dude, my strength that week was insane. And I'm surprised, you know, because I attacked myself so hard.
Yeah.
But every day I was setting PRs.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I was looking forward to that all fucking week. And when I did it, I don't want to say it was light, because it wasn't light by any means, but I was shocked I got, like, I think 6 reps out of that. I was shocked I got that many.
That was a lot. That's a lot. It was a lot of weight, bro.
I always thought I was going to get like 2, and then fuck. But I got 1 up, and then I kept going and kept going. I don't
even have those at my gym. 170s is the heaviest my gym goes up to.
Here's the thing, right? Like, even if you are like a big, you don't need that much anyway. Like, it's literally all about time under tension. Because I'll be honest, like I think I told you before, when I did that, I felt everything but my chest. You know, I was using every muscle but my chest. So my chest started to grow more. First of all, and I'll probably get criticized for this, but I started using more machines. I stopped using free weight so much. And if I did use free weight, it was like literally the 3rd or 4th exercise in that I would do like a dumbbell. I don't really do barbell at all anymore, but I love dumbbell, so I'll stick to dumbbell. but I don't start with that. Like that's usually like the middle or end of a workout, you know, because I feel like I can't go as heavy. So I focus more on contracting rather than the weight. Because I know for me, if I start with a dumbbell press and I know how strong I can be, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna try and get these 200s.
And
Like
then
I already
and then you might hurt yourself.
exactly. And at the end of the day, we're bodybuilders. I'm not a power lifter. Sure, is it fun? Fuck yeah, bro. Like this shit's fun to lift heavy shit sometimes.
Yeah.
But I have to think of the bigger picture. Like
Yeah.
me doing it is fun, but what is it going to do career wise for me? You know?
Yeah. So what I've been doing, obviously, because I've been, obviously since my injury, I've been slowing things down in the gym. And like even today I trained chest and my two training partners, I was with Joe and Chris. I'm like, listen, I'm like, we're all in a similar situation. I'm like, I'm retired, I have bad shoulders, right? And I need to slow everything down. I'm like, you two have dominant shoulders and arms, and your chest is lacking. And I'm like, so from now on, I'm like, we're gonna train and we're gonna slow it the fuck down. I'm like, and I'm gonna fix everything that's go. So there was so much that I was doing to the reform that was making it very hard for them to get their normal weight. And I'm like,
But they were feeling their chest more.
dude, yeah, Joe today was like, this is the craziest chest pump I've ever fucking had. And it's not that I've never done it, but when you don't have to do it because you're not restricted, then it like my mentality is go in the gym and attack it. But when you have that controlled chaos, it's a little different, even though it's out of the realm of what I like to normally do. It's still because what I'm used to just grabbing a certain weight and doing it for a certain amount of reps and not really caring how long the set is. But when you make the set longer, even if it's 6 reps and not 10, those 6 reps are a lot harder than banging out those 10,
A lot more time under tension too.
Yeah. Now, when you train with Kamal, because you train with a lot of you have a few training partners, not a lot, but a few. Was Kamal like that? Because I remember Kamal was like higher reps with you.
He was higher reps and was very fast.
Oh, it was
So
very.
yeah, he was fat. Yeah.
Excuse me.
So I think I wasn't ready for it. I mean, I kept up. I was fine, but I would still apply my very slow rep scheme
Okay.
with the extreme high volume, which you can do, but you got to find the happy medium.
Yeah.
And with Kamal, bro, you're doing like 4 to 5 sets, 15, 20 reps. Like then you're going to do a mega drop set. And I would do this very slow and control. And everyone knows when you do it, things slow, more slow control, it taxes you way harder than just pumping shit out.
Yes.
And he's a pumper, and I kept things very slow. So I would be fucked. Like training, the next morning, I remember we did back. The first, I woke up, I feel like I hit my bus.
Oh, you had
But
to be so sore for
I
that
was,
those amount of
but then I
reps.
realized I was used at that time doing, 1 to 2 sets, move on to the next exercise. We would do like I remember we did dumbbell row, which is one of my favorites. You're going to pick a weight that you can do 12 reps with, and you're going to do 4 sets. Okay. So imagine I think I did like the 150s for 4 sets of 12. Now imagine that's pretty much failure to a degree. Now imagine doing that slow and controlled for 4 sets and then doing that with another 5 to 6 exercises.
Yeah, that's hundreds of reps.
It's crazy. Was it fun? Yeah, that's why I kept training with them because I did love it. It was fun. But at the end of the day, I was taxed.
So let me ask you a question then. Since do you find a benefit in doing all those different training methods? Would you ever incorporate that stuff back into your programs as you go on? Or do you like what's your wheelhouse? Like 8 to 12 reps, slow and controlled? Are you a higher rep, lower rep?
I like it depending on the body part. I don't like to go lower than 10 reps.
Okay, I'm there with you on that.
But I don't like to do 4 sets of failure with any weight. Like I guess I do higher volume a little bit, But like I think I told you before, well, I'll just do sets of 10 until I hit like a failure set of 10 and then do a drop set, or I might just do another set of maybe a little lighter weight and just try to hit like 15 or something. So
Yep.
it's still, at the end of the day, the volume in terms of failure sets is still low, but the weights accumulating over the sets is higher than what I normally would do.
Yeah. I mean, so that's kind of when I trained with Charles, that's kind of how he always trained. It was always like certain amount of sets, and then your top, we always did like our top set was always a big drop set. And
Yeah.
it was like that for every exercise.
And I like that training. I think it's fun. And I think you can do it in a way where you can recover fast enough and it doesn't tax you too hard. You just have to, when it comes to training at the end of the day, right? Everyone's person dependent or independent. So you have to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah.
That's what it all comes down to. Like the way you train, I can't do it, right? And the way I train, you're like, the fuck is this?
Yeah. I'm
So
trying, I have to switch everything to try to learn how to do that.
and like I said on the last podcast, like if you told me to, start pumping shit up, like I don't know how. Like
Yeah.
I forget what it's like to just go fast,
So here's a question for you. Um, Obviously I did bro chat this week, and Ian's talked about when he retires, like, I can't wait to lose all this muscle and be able to run. And I was like, really? You're not going to miss having like muscle on you? Like,
Oh, oh.
do you think when you retire, you're going to care about like, obviously, listen, it's different for somebody like me. I think that was never super big to begin with. And even when I was a bodybuilder, I was never the biggest bodybuilder. But I think when I lost weight, I was like, man, this sucks. Like I like the other day, I was getting rid of like all my fucking big clothes. Like I had triple X's and double X's, and I'm like, I have all this. Like I fit in an XL just fine now. Like I lost all
Yeah.
the weight. Like I don't need to have all these clothes that I'm swimming in. So yeah, there part of me misses it, but for some, you're in it now. Like you're in the thick of everything that you're
Yeah.
doing. Do you ever think there's going to come a time where you're not going to, maybe not be fucking as big as you are, but is there ever come a time where you think like, like I can't wait to not have all this muscle on me?
Yeah. All the time. I don't want to be skinny by any means, but like I like the way Jay Cutler took his approach.
I mean, well, Jay's almost 50 years old.
Yeah,
You're talking
but
about
like
how,
he's nowhere near his size, but he ain't small.
yeah. Jay is one of the guys that I say that retired and I think did it the right way. Because a lot of guys retired that we can look back at. I'm not going to say names because I don't want anybody to get pissed off. God forbid I fucking say, God forbid I say something that's fucking true and somebody gets mad at it. Like,
Yep.
fucking
Yeah.
but Jay retired, stayed a decent size for a certain amount of time. And as years went on, he just he tried to maintain his size with getting lean and staying in shape. And I think he's done a great job. And I think the reason is solely because he says it that he enjoys training. He's not the
That's it though.
same. Yeah, that's it. It's
Like
that simple.
and it's the same with me. Like he enjoys training and eating healthy. I enjoyed doing that before I competed. So what am I going to do when I'm done competing? The same shit. The only difference is I'm not, going to be taking certain things,
Yep.
but I'm still going to enjoy training just as much as I did when I was competing, if not more now.
Yeah. Because you can have more fun with it. That's what's real. Like when I train with Branch, like I'm sitting in the room, like looking at all the pictures, and I got a picture of me and Branch in the gym, and me and Branch, and I'm like thinking, I remember every picture I'm in with Branch. I can remember where we were, what we were doing, and training with Branch now is still fucking crazy intense.
Yeah.
But it's just not the same because when me and Branch trained in the gym together when we were both competing, we didn't speak. I mean, he was the one that taught me to not talk in the
You
gym.
guys were competing, so
Yes.
there was now you train hard, but
yes.
you talk a little here and there. You do, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yep. Now though, what my training partner and I said it to him again today is he was asking me my Chris, he's young, he's 21 years old. He was talking to me today And I didn't like when I have headphones on with a cord in the gym, not this big, but like this. And he said something. I ripped my headphone off, and I'm like, dude, we've been training together for 2 years. I tried to train him when he was 19 years old. I said, after 2 years, you don't realize that I don't fucking talk in the
You
gym.
still talking to me?
And what's crazy is I don't do it on purpose, and I don't do it to be a dick. But this is how I go. I am very regimented when I go into the gym, and I do this for a reason, and it's to avoid talking during working out. I get to the gym, I go to my little spot. I fucking have like my little crew that comes over. We all shoot the shit for 15, 20 minutes.
And then you
Then
go
we
train.
go work out. When we're done, we do this. We go back to our spot,
Shoot the
take
shit.
our shakes, shoot the shit, and we leave. In my eyes, besides who's up, you're up, or what weight you want to go, or what's next, there shouldn't be much talking going on. But I'm not saying that's the right way. I'm not saying that's the wrong way. I'm saying that's my way, and that's
that's how I
way
like
that
it.
I like to do it.
And that's why I even enjoy training with Maria now, because she's the same way. Like whenever we train together, there's not much talking except like, what are we doing next? What weight are you using? Things of that nature. And I'll be honest, she sometimes even teaches me better ways to do an exercise.
Yeah.
And I don't expect that, so I'm like, oh shit, and I
Yeah.
think it's cool. So when we train together, it's really good sessions, you know.
So on that topic, the habit, so having a partner in the gym, and that partner being your girlfriend, and this is I know Maria's there, so this isn't like this is a very, it's a very biased, or I'm trying to make an unbiased question. Do you what's your preference for let's just say prepping for a show, right?
Okay.
Like, take Maria out of it. Is it easier for you as a man, because I know my answer, to prep with a partner, or do you find it less stressful and easier to prep by yourself? Because I've done them both. And I know the benefits of having somebody there, and I know the stresses of having somebody there too.
Correct.
So I'm wondering, for you as Nick Walker, this isn't like, oh, I don't like anything with Maria. This is just
no. I will be honest. So before Maria, I was all about prepping by myself. You do your own thing. You live on your own time. This, that, whatever the case is, it's you. You have no distraction, nothing. Now, I think when you're able to find someone that is all in on it just as much as you are, I think that adds benefit to you rather than stress than anything else. Now, sure, to me, Maria have her little tisk here and there. Yeah, I mean, we live together. It's normal. But at the end of the day, she's on board. She's 100. Like, whenever it's time, picture day, we drive to Dragon's Lair, take pictures. And I even tell them, like, listen, if you don't want to come to the gym with me, like, you can do it. You can have your own. It's fine. I make sure she understands that, because I want her to also have her own schedule, not just live under mine, because I feel like that can be a lot on the partner and add more stress, right? So I admire that she's all in, but I also make it clear, like, it's okay for you. If you don't want to go to the gym today, like, it's fine. If you want to go later, like, I have 3 cars, like, pick whatever you want to do. And, but like I said, I think if you have a partner that's super involved and is cool and is chill, I think it adds more benefit than anything.
What's the one component that you think makes it work? Because I know a lot of times it does not work.
Communication.
Yeah.
Communication.
That's one thing I would say was, as far as being the man, was if you ask if as the female, if you ask your man a question, this is during prep. If you ask him a question and they give you an answer, that's the answer.
That's the answer.
And a lot of people don't like, when you're dieting. I call, like, when you're dieting, truth serum, because when you get to a certain point in your
prep, you don't care.
No, your fucking filter and your give a
Yes,
fuck
you
is a
don't care.
zero. So it's like, and my what I used to get screamed at for was, I'm a talker, bro. Mutant in the mouth. I'm a mouth. I talk. I have no. But when I prep, when I'm close to a show,
Be quiet. Yeah,
I get fucking quiet, and then I get the what's wrong? What did I
nothing.
do? And I'm like, nothing. I'm just quiet. Well, you're not talking. Well, that's what quiet is. I'm not talking. Well, why are you quiet? Because I'm dieting. Well, the diet didn't bother you before. Well, I wasn't 4 weeks out before. Yeah, but
Because it's
what's the and I'm like, then it just snowballs. So
yeah,
I think communication is key, and I also think that one of the things people have to remember is you can't forget to treat them like your girlfriend. Just because you're
of
prepping
course.
for a show doesn't mean that they have to take a back seat. But one thing that I have heard through other men is that you also there has to be you have not that there has to be a pecking order, but almost like each person has to know their role, right? And I'm not going to say who taught me this and what couple taught me this, but it was like, listen, I'm the let's say there's two pros, right? That let's say two pros are together and they're married. Well, maybe one pro is the sponsored athlete, the breadwinner, and one pro is just like maybe the one that like likes to compete but doesn't make any money competing but has another job. It's like so my one friend who's a man said like she just had to know her role. Like I'm the guy that's the better pro making the money. So like her role is a little different, but she understands that and she's okay with it and it makes everything work much easier.
Yeah,
And that made sense too. And it
yeah,
doesn't have to be on that same playing field, but I think if you understand your role in the relationship and you highlight it, but you still make time for that person and don't
yes,
take bodybuilding as an excuse to not do certain things, then it could be
right.
very beneficial. But I'm sure you have too, in relationships where the significant other just, it's hard to say it, but they just don't get it.
They suck.
They just yeah, and it's
Yeah.
hard, and it's hard. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that that bodybuilding, what we do, you can't empathize with it if you've never done it.
No, I agree. Yes, no, you can't. You can't. You cannot.
Like
You
people
can't. You'll
that's
never understand it unless you've done it.
and why do you think that is?
I think it's more the mental part, if anything. If you have never gone through it mentally, you'll never truly understand why we feel the way we feel at certain weeks out of a show. And I think once you do it, go through it, you just have a better understanding. And that's when the significant other, like for example, it's like, hey, what's wrong? Nothing. Okay, I get it. It's that time. And if you dated someone that just has no idea, then yeah, that's this is going to be a problem.
Yeah. What? So that's you can't really argue with that because if all the pieces are in place, then it'll be a well-oiled machine. But if one of those pieces, and the problem is when I keep saying when you're prepping, because when you're prepping, that's when I think the female has to be more understanding, or the male if it's the female, right? I'm
Well,
talking from a male's perspective right now, so
yeah.
I'm not trying to put this could be a female to a male to a female. I'm empathizing with men
Mhm.
because obviously that's who I am. So if you're the man and you're dieting, the female has to be understanding that you are in more of a state where you're going to be more on edge, right? You're more vulnerable, you're more on edge, you're going to be more snappy, but the man has to understand that he is that way, but he also has to treat her a certain way regardless of how he's feeling. And that's a hard fucking thing to do. But I think if you have the right person, it's an easier balance to find.
Yeah, I mean, she'll even tell you like I'm pretty chill. Like I have my moments of a little snappiness, but like overall, man, I especially for the Olympia, I'm pretty chill. I don't, I let her know like, hey, I'm probably gonna be a little quiet today,
So
and
is it
she
now
knows.
is yours a day-to-day thing? So like
Yeah,
me,
honestly, yes, because my mood isn't always the same. Like I could be 2 weeks out, and on Monday I don't bother me, but then on Tuesday I'm in a good mood.
yeah,
You know, it
yeah,
kind of is like that. You know, but even during either the Olympia prep and even now, like I try to make it a priority to like I said, even I think on previous podcasts on our off days
yeah.
to just do something together,
I
whether
think that's
it's
I think that's a great takeaway too for
whether
anybody
it's we
watching
go
this.
to a movie or because in Vegas there's so many outdoor outlets, so we go walk around an outlet, just something little, just to have that time together, and then you get back on the horse the next day, and I think that just adds a lot of benefit to a relationship while being
Yeah,
in prep. You can because little things like that, right? Like going to a movie or walking the strip, whatever the case is, you can bring your food, you can do what you need to do. You're not, if anything, you might get in better shape from walking around a little bit. So look at it as a benefit,
yeah,
and you can still stay on point. And
yeah.
she's cool with it. Then we'll go to somewhere. I'm like, I gotta eat, and I sit down and eat for a little bit. We go, finish what we're doing, so forth. Day's done. Back home, chilling. That's it.
No questioning, no problems, no
No,
issues.
but it's the point where you're as you being in prep, you take the initiative to
Yeah,
say, hey, I know I'm in prep, I know I do things a certain way, but I still want the relationship to be somewhat normal here. So on
yeah,
off days, let's make it a priority to go do something, even if you go get a couple's massage, right? You're doing something together, which
together.
is the most important part.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I think if anybody watching this and that's having issues with the relationship or is wondering how to keep a relationship going, I think that's a very big takeaway. You have to find time to do stuff with that other person. If you don't, it's not going to be long lasting, and it's very hard to. Like I was in a relationship where the girl started dieting right the week that I met her, and it was like I didn't even really know who she was until like
Yeah. Yeah.
after the show and like all the smoke cleared, because it was like those weeks leading up to the show, like you don't get the real value of who that person is, especially
Right.
if it's in the beginning of the relationship. So I think you have to definitely take that into consideration. But for you prepping, I know where I highlighted my preps. Like, is there a spot in your prep which is like, man, like every time I prep, I fucking hate this part of prep. And then you're like, but this part of prep always seems to be like my favorite that I don't mind, that I actually enjoy. Like, because I know there's two or three times throughout prep where I could say that I fucking can't stand it. And then I know the times during my prep where I'm like, that's when I'm rocking and fucking rolling, and I'm at my like peak fucking like high.
You mean how many weeks out and stuff?
Yeah, but example, I hate starting a prep. For me, starting a prep and
Oh no,
getting
that's my favorite part.
see me, I hate it because it's like getting in the fucking groove and like getting everything going and like the meals and like getting not that I'm not regimented, but just switching the gear. That takes me like a fucking full
Yeah.
week to like start going. And I hate that it takes me that long. Not that I'm missing anything. It's just getting in the fucking groove for me is what I can't stand.
I see. I like when it starts, and I also like when it's over. When I
Okay.
was younger, I hated when it was over because I would go, now what?
Okay.
I'm like, what do I like? I had you were so focused on
Yeah.
something, it's done. Now when it's over, I'm like, let's live some life. Let's eat some food.
Well, you spoke about after last year's Olympia that you went into a little bit of a dark place. Was that because the competing was over? And I'm only asking that because on Evan's Centopani Circles, that's another app. If you guys have not joined that, you need to download Telegram and join Centopani Circles. You guys are missing out fucking terribly. Um, a girl on there asked or said that after a show, she gets like the post show blues and like gets very depressed because there's nothing there. And Jose Raymond agreed with her, but I never had that. I never thought like the only time I really had that was when I was retired, right? Because I always knew that there was always going to be the show might not be around the corner, but there was always
Okay,
going to be another show.
so I never had that because, like you just said, there was always another show. So when I was a younger and when I was an amateur, whenever a show ended, I was already focused on how to improve.
Okay.
So I never really had the post-show blues. I think last year I got it because it was more based off of staying relevant.
Okay.
Because after the year was over, I was like, oh shit. Like, because when you're an amateur, you don't have, you're no one yet,
Yeah.
you're still chilling. You're focused on, like I said, making improvements. So when that show ends, my mindset was, okay, I'm gonna come back next year and look totally different. When you get that quick rise to the top and then the year's done and you gotta take a year off, yeah, my first thought was, well, fuck, like what am I gonna what am I gonna do to stay relevant? Like, it really wasn't like post show blues per se. It was just a mental state, man.
So you don't not competing was never a detriment to you, like not having another
No,
show.
no.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, and because I take a year off, right? So I can't wait for prep to start. But then I'm the type of guy, which I think you are as well. When you have a show picked out, your prep finally starts,
Yeah.
and once you get into that gear and shift the mindset, you give everything you fucking got for that one show. Like every last, there's nothing in the tank left. So by
Yeah.
the time it's over, you're like, okay, cool. Like, it's done now.
Yeah.
Where, like, that's why for me, I can only handle literally one show a year at this. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, yeah, I'm doing the Arnold, but I had a little bit of downtime, and it was only another 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever. So it wasn't like I had this whole long prep to do all over again. Granted, 8 weeks of that, it still sucks to a degree, but it's not bad, and it's still being in great shape. You don't really have to push anything too drastic, cardio, supplement thing. Like you just cruise right in, you know.
No, I mean that's true. I mean, and you're looking crazier than I've ever seen you, which is even wilder to say before the Olympia, because before the Olympia you were looking crazy. You keep posting these just like candid crazy photos, and I'm like, he looks crazy, like
I'm getting
insane.
better and better, bro.
Is there anything being a pro? Is there anything that made that you as a pro didn't see coming? Like you're a high level pro. Like, do I consider was I a high level pro one time? Maybe. I was never fucking top three in the Olympia, so maybe some wouldn't consider me a top level pro. What's the best one? Like, what is the one best thing you can say for yourself being a top level pro that you never expected, good or bad?
I It was the quick success.
Now, was that a detriment or was that a positive
It
influence?
was a positive. I mean, I let things take control of the mind, so you could look at it as a detriment a little bit, but overall it was a positive
Yeah,
because it's like it took me 10 years to turn pro, and then it only took me 1 year to go to the Olympia.
yeah.
So I think the quick success took me by surprise. As much shit as I talked about winning New York, winning the Arnold, which I very much believe I could have.
Yep.
I did not expect to the success to be as quick as it was, seeing how long it took me to turn pro. I didn't think it was going to be as slow as that, but I also didn't think it was going to come as quick as it did.
Well, speaking of it coming as quick as it did, one thing that's coming quick is you fucking sick back. I wasn't gonna go. I wasn't even going there. And you fucking made it sexual. I wasn't even my head wasn't even there. Because I was gonna
I
say
did. I'm sorry.
thinking of things coming quick. The one thing that I've been thinking about, because I think Lee Priest was, or somebody was saying they used to give, like, was it Jay or who the fuck was it? Well, no, it was Branch. Branch told me he practiced over and over what he was going to say to Arnold, um, when he won. Now, you didn't get that chance, right? Originally.
No, no.
So have you thought about, because I was thinking about this for you today. I was like, I wonder if he's thought about, because listen, I'd call you a liar if you didn't think that you have a very good shot at winning this because you're a front runner, and I know you're
going to win it.
okay. So to have you got to have at least have something in your mind of what you're going to say.
Yeah, I dude, I'm a shower guy. I plan shit out in the shower.
So like, what you don't have to tell me everything, but like, so actually, I don't want to know anything. But
No,
so,
I'm not saying anything.
no, I don't want to. So you do have it planned, huh?
All I know is Bob Chicarello better hand me the mic this time.
Well, so I forgot what happened last time. He just didn't come out.
No, at the Olympia when I won the People's Champ, I wanted to hold the mic, the talk, and Bob wouldn't let me.
No, but didn't at the Arnold Classic? Didn't
Yeah,
Arnold?
well, Arnold just never came out.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this is.
Hopefully this year he comes out.
Well, I mean, could you imagine if 2 years in a row you won it and you didn't get to talk to him?
I know, right?
If that's the case, you should storm off stage and be like, Arnold needs to come on stage right now because I'm not going 2 years without
him this
fucking talking.
Second year in a row we're doing this.
And then what's the immediate? Where are we going after in Chicago or in Chicago in Ohio?
Cheesecake.
Is there is there a nearest one in Ohio?
I think bro. I've been there.
Really?
Oh wait.
You sure?
No, we went to IHOP after the Arnold.
Oh, because you probably got out so fucking late. That was probably the only thing open.
Well, it was late. The show didn't run too late, but I had a lot of people, that were.
You know what I might have to do? I might have to, when you get off stage, I might have to be like, "What do you want? I'll go get it, and I'll bring it back to your room."
Just go get it.
I'll just go get it and run it back.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, are you and Nick going to do a podcast the week of Olympia? And this is kind of is going to parlay me into what I'm about to say. And I think you know what I'm going, or you might not know where I'm going, but so we put out our podcast right midweek last week. And then we did one at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And I did a little YouTube short, trying to explain to people what we did. And then after I did it, I was like, you know what? I don't have to fucking explain that to anybody. And this is what I'm going to tell everybody. And Nick, you could chime in at any time, but you and me both. Now, what we do as far as our jobs and what we make and how we make our money is one thing. But what we're doing for those people and what they're watching, they're doing it and watching what we do for free. They're not paying. They don't pay to click the subscribe button for YouTube. They don't pay to watch us on Instagram. And I own a business now, right? I own Uprising Extracts. I have 2 partners in it. You're involved in it as an athlete. And last week, there was things that were being said on podcasts about my company that had to be talked about. And there were questions that had to be answered. Now, whether or not some of you people liked that I did that with Nick and that we had Mark on here answering questions, who's very knowledgeable. If you didn't want to watch that, I completely get it if you're not interested. But that's why you use the fucking timestamps that are there. So you can fast forward. Because Nick, me and you talked about doing that podcast, and then we didn't even speak about doing extra. And we were on for we did an hour about talking about Uprising, and then we did an hour bonus podcast for everybody.
Bullshit,
and people still fucking complained about it. And I was like, I didn't even notice it until somebody made.
There was a lot of negative comments on that.
Yeah, which was insane to me, because for you guys, this is just a little fucking PSA for you guys. If you guys ever own a business and you have a platform like this to talk about it on, and you don't do it, you might be some of the worst business owners in the world, because every podcast that I watch, whether it's Nick Trigili, Bodybuilding and BS, whether it's Derek More Plates, More Dates, whether it's Greg Doucette, whether it's Fouad Abiad, they all post and promote their fucking companies that they own or are sponsored by, and they had trailers or they bring it up. So it was almost kind of like, how dare people get fucking pissed off for that? So that was just my little rant towards the end, because I think doing this podcast, right now, Nick, with me and you, it's a one-on-one podcast. We keep it to about an hour, a little over an hour,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's good for two people, because when you have a third or a fourth, then you can run into the 2 hours and one person not talking. But when it's one-on-one, we have to do some engagement. And yeah, there's going to be times where we bring people on. We spoke about people that we want to have on and in conversations that we want to have, and that's going to happen. But, in the midst of this podcast being new, all we did was, we had a conversation about a topic that was brought up and something you're involved in. And I think I wanted people to hear what you said. And people are like, oh, you're using it as a advertising,
I've read that.
which I just found completely disrespectful, because I feel like, especially, I've been doing this for a very long time, and you're a little newer to it, but the amount of time and effort I think we both collectively put into our fans is enough to our fans to realize that, we care more about them than probably a lot of things in our lives. So to say negative comments, and what I also learned is that you're never gonna fucking please anybody, because then I posted that Instagram or that YouTube reel, and there wasn't not one negative comment on that. Everybody's like, just keep doing what you're doing, we love it. And I'm like,
exactly.
Where are the negative comments now? So I got a lesson, and my lesson was, we post what we want to post, and we keep it moving. And if people like it, great. If people don't like it, that's okay too. It's not for everybody, know.
I agree. We don't owe anyone an explanation for what we do.
And listen, if there are topics, and Nick, I think you've said it too, if you guys want us to talk about certain topics,
say so.
Comment. Tell us topics you guys want to touch on, and what topics you guys want us to talk about. And or if there's anything that maybe you guys want us to touch more on or get more detail on, I'm happy to do it. I know Nick's happy to do it. I mean, me and Nick, I look forward to this podcast now just as much as I look forward to doing the bro chat when we were on it together. Like, I look forward to this. This is a part of my weeks where I catch up with you. I shoot the shit. I hear what's going on. And, obviously we talk throughout the week, but this is kind of, okay. So if people don't know this about Nick, okay, because we're already well over the hour, but I'll say this. If you don't know this about Nick is not a very talkative person on the phone. If I don't tell Nick, call me, he won't call me. I'll give him fucking voice notes that most of the time are answered with text messages. He's not a talkative person. So if people think I communicate with Nick a lot, I do, but it's never really on the phone unless I'm like, I don't feel like texting all this. You need to call me right now. And he'll say, I'm not a big talker on the phone. So to get you on this with me every week and to do this together is something that I look forward to, because I actually get a side of you that I don't get that often, because I don't get you on the fucking phone that often, because you don't like to talk on the phone like that. So I think we do a really good job, and I appreciate everything that you do, and I'm glad for all the subscribers, and I really want you guys to all like, comment, subscribe to our channel, because this is something that we're putting a lot of time and effort into. And me and Nick talked about this for a while, and we weren't able to do it for certain reasons, and now that we are, I think it's going really fucking good so far. Obviously, we hit some bumps in the roads, some hiccups, but overall, and there hasn't been a lot of, I haven't been clicking on things and showing my screen or answering questions or bringing on guests, because
it's straight conversation.
We don't have to yet. And I think that's the best thing about it. And then, every week it's new, because it's 3 weeks out from the Arnold, 2 weeks out from the Arnold, and there's a lot more things coming and talking about. The last topic I got to bring up. I have to bring it up. Did you see what Nick Trigilli posted about the Shawn Ray thing?
I did, of course. Okay.
Now, that is a fucking hot button with me. A hot button.
I know it is.
And this is what pissed me off today. So I'm going to go a step further, because I wasn't going to touch on this, honestly, at all until this happened. And this is going to be the last.
Are you sharing the screen?
No. This is going to be the last segment for today, because this is.
Okay.
So after Nick Trigilli posted the thing about what Shawn Ray posted a thing about guys that are no longer here, that have passed away, that have been coached by a similar variable, who we all know is Chad Nichols. Now, to say I'm assuming that can be correct. to say that I'm stupid for not knowing that could also be correct. Now, he took the post down, but I had my feelings on the post, but I said, let me go look at the post before I make my opinions on what Nick Trigili said, because that's Nick Trigili's opinion. Nick Trigili's opinion is Nick's, and it could be skewed based on who Nick is, and I might not feel the same way. So I went to the post and I wanted to read it for myself, and I couldn't find it. And I'm like, where is Shawn Ray's fucking IG? Because after I had that conversation with him at the Arnold last year, he apologized to me.
He blocked you.
And then he reached out to me on IG and said, we're all good. For some fucking reason, I went to go look on his page today, and the scumbag, and yes, Shawn, I hope you watch it because I'm calling you a fucking scumbag. The scumbag blocked me. Okay. After apologizing to me at the Arnold and then reaching out to me through fucking Instagram and saying we're good, he then turns around and blocks me. So this is what I'm going to say to anybody watching this. And I'll say this is the good. I can direct this to write to Shawn Ray. You have now posted about my best friend who has passed away, which is Shawn Rhoden. And you've also posted about that gentleman right there. I'm trying to get my finger. There's pictures of Dallas right there, who I was also very close with. And until you have somebody in the little box that you're talking about that's dead, Shawn Ray, you might want to pay attention to people and the family members and the feelings of those of who you're talking about, because you're putting posts up and you're referencing a coach who's talking about people who have passed on as if they're just things and they're not human beings with people that are still here mourning their loss. So if it's not going to be me, sooner or later, somebody's going to knock you the fuck out. And it's already been done twice. He's already been knocked out twice because he fucking runs his mouth. And honestly, I don't understand how he's even still at this point. The fact that he took down the post shows that in my eyes, he should be not allowed in the IFBB or the NPC whatsoever. He is the scum of the fucking earth. And I don't care who's friends with him. I don't know. I know people say him and Bob Chick or whatever. If you're friends with somebody who is literally bad mouthing, it says in the Bible, thou shall not talk ill of the dead. This motherfucker just continues to piss people off. And you want to know why he does it, Nick? It's because I know what it. Listen, I'm older. I'm retired. I'm not at the top of the food chain in bodybuilding. I'm not the big bodybuilder that I once was. I'm not competing. I'm not in the limelight, but I'm okay with it. I'm doing a million other things that'll keep me fucking busy that I'm enjoying. He is a miserable scumbag that retired and nobody gives a fuck about. And the only way he stays relevant is by making harsh posts like that. And I wasn't going to say anything about it. But when I saw that and then he blocked me today, I was like, what a set of fucking balls for somebody who's a grown fucking man to be blocking like somebody who he actually apologized to. Like that, like, did you see what like that post? Like, what are your like feelings of that? Because you know, Dallas, you're what, 28? Dallas was 26 when he passed away. Like seeing that's gotta have for you. You know, I'm 40 years old. I have my reasons for those posts because I knew Dallas. I was close with Shawn Rhoden. Like I have reasons for having my feelings towards Shawn Ray. Okay. Now, when you see that post as a 28-year-old current bodybuilder, like how do you feel when you see like does that anger you? Or are you like this guy?
Yeah, I mean, of course it angers me because these bodybuilders died, right? So it's already a sad situation. But I think when it comes to Dallas, I do take that a little more personal because of the relationship he had with Matt. And I know how much, Dallas meant to Matt. And obviously, how much I care for Matt. I think that hurts me more at the same time. So when I see people bring up, being dead and not in a nice way, yeah, it bothers me. I don't think it's nice. I don't think you should talk about the dead, period. Or even still badmouth a coach that doesn't acknowledge you, honestly. So I think there's a lot of things he does that's just unnecessary.
Yeah, and that's why it bothers me, and that's why I wanted to bring it up because at the end of the day, I don't know why nobody else speaks up to this guy. I don't know why he's still allowed in here. I know everybody can say what they want about freedom of speech, but at the end of the day, I think as a bodybuilding community and as a culture of bodybuilding, we all have suffered enough loss. And
Let it be.
Shawn can sit here and say, "Well, I'm trying to bring fucking, I'm trying to bring, I'm trying to stop this from happening." Well, if that's what you're trying to do, if you in your mind, the reason people are dying is because of poor coaching. If that's what you believe, that's okay. But you're going about it in a really fucked up way that's going to get you really fucking hurt at some point.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you this, if I saw that and one of those people on that box was like my family member, Shawn Ray would have a really hard time walking the next time I fucking saw him. He talked about Sean Roden, and I scared the life of fucking God into him. And he could sit here and say, and I saw that he wrote comments that was a fucking joke. Well, Justin Shire was standing right next to me when he came up to me in fucking tears to apologize. So he can say whatever he wants and act as tough as he wants. The fun fact is that he wouldn't walk past me and say one fucking smart word to me, or he'd get fucking thrown through a wall. Mm. And it angers me in a sport when we're all supposed to be connected by a one little molecular thing that we have in common, which is the love for bodybuilding. Why you got to be just such a fucking scumbag?
I agree.
I don't know if this ever weighs on you, Nick, but it did my entire career. Once I made the transition to the quote unquote dark side, I knew I was shaving a few years off my life, and it's a very scary thing to deal with. And when you're younger, it doesn't really come up as much in your mind because when you're young, you're like, if I don't care if I made the 75 or 70, like it's like that, I'm old then. But I'm telling you, when you're 40, you don't want to shave those years off anymore. It's scary to think about, and it's scary to think about, things that have happened throughout the life, and you want to try to do it as healthy as possible. When you have somebody just constantly throwing dirt on this all the time and just bringing up past and bringing up negative shit, it's like, get the fuck out of the sport then, bro.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I feel like there's so many good coaches out there that don't get highlighted, and not that even I think Chad's a good coach too.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if Matt told you to do something and you really were like, you know what, I think this is really bad for me, or a bad idea, and I don't want to do it, you're not going to do it.
No,
I've been in positions before where coaches really like to, and I'm like, I think that's like, and I'm not talking right before a show. I'm talking like dosages, and I'm just like, I don't want it. That's not for me. Like I have a feeling that's a bad thing to do. So it's also judgment calls too, but to sit here and say that a coach is the reason for people being a certain way when it's the athlete's choice to be with that coach, I think is ignorant in itself.
I agree. Very ignorant. I agree.
Because you've had how many coaches your entire career?
3.
And they were who? Who's the first one?
Jeff Long.
Okay. And second?
Oh no, Long 4. I guess we'll go 4. So I had Jeff Long. I worked with Dom Cardone.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I worked with Dom Cardone, and then Matt, and then the quick turnaround with the other.
I wouldn't really even call Dom, because that one Dom was very short lived. That was like
So okay, so if you don't count that, then 3.
Yeah, and that's like, and I don't think you need. I think if you're in your career for a certain period of time, I don't think you need to bounce around anymore. I think once you find your niche with that coach, you're good.
I won't. I don't need. Excuse me. I won't get into it because I've already gotten into it.
Yeah. No. You don't know, and that's not where I was going.
No, but with things that happened with Matt, obviously, we didn't want to end. Like just happened.
Yes.
So like now we're back together. We're good, and that's where I'm set. I'm good. Like I'm not. This is where it ends.
Yes. Yep. That's how I was with Chris. When I started working with Chris in 2013, I knew, I'm like, I'm good. This is where I'm at. I'm probably not going anywhere else.
Me and Matt literally have like the perfect formula.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like I've always expressed, we're like family. Like we're good,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important. I think because you guys have a mutual respect for each other, you guys have a friendship, but you also have a business relationship. But I think the most important thing, and I'll end it with this, is that you can't blur the line between business and friendship, meaning Matt's your coach here and he's your friend here. But when he's your coach, he's your fucking coach.
Yeah,
And when he's your friend, he's your friend. And a lot of people can't. Chris Aceto told me that a while ago. He's like, you have to learn to draw a fine line between business and friendship.
agreed. I
And that's a
100%.
very, very true statement to live by. And I think on that statement, we'll end on that statement. Always draw a fine line between business and friendships, because if you don't and you start blurring it, it can end very badly. So
Very badly.
that is the true episode number 5 we're going to end with. We'll call the last episode 4B, because
4B.
people got a little butthurt about it. So God forbid we have any chapped fucking buttholes on Mutant the Mouth. We don't want to upset anybody. So for episode number 5, Mutant in the Mouth, myself, Nick Walker, signing off next week. We will be 3 weeks out from the Arnold Classic, and much more to talk about. Appreciate each and every one of you. Like, comment, subscribe below. Tell us what you like, what you love, and more to come from Mutant and the Mouth. Signing off. Assalamu alaikum.